On my 20th birthday, I became a human good luck charm. The nicer someone was to me, the luckier they'd get. The meaner someone was to me, the more their luck would tank. And so my bestie chipped her front tooth, my boyfriend broke his leg, and my arch nemesis won the lottery. I had a dream where an old man with a long white beard told me I'd been a good person for 10 lifetimes. So after my 20th birthday, I would unlock my powers as a human good luck charm. Anyone who liked me and was good to me would get lucky. Anyone who hated me and treated me poorly would become unlucky. When I woke up, I sat in bed thinking, I wish that dream was real. Just then, I saw my best friend and roommate, Hannah, lose her footing. She pitched forward, ramrod straight. Her face smashed into the back of a chair, and her mouth filled with blood. My other roommates and I were horrified. Oh my God! Hannah, are you okay? I scrambled down from my bunk bed and helped my blood-soaked bestie to her feet. My other two roommates rushed over. Sarah, Maya, can you guys tell my professor I'll be out? I'm taking Hannah to the campus clinic. I frantically packed a bag and rushed Hannah to the clinic, only to run into my boyfriend and his roommate at the entrance. Seeing my boyfriend, Jake, lying on a stretcher with his brow furrowed in pain, a terrible thought started to form in my mind. Jake's roommate, Mike, was also surprised to see me. Chloe, what are you doing here? I haven't even had a chance to call you yet. I held on to Hannah, my heart pounding with dread. What happened to Jake? Ugh, don't ask. He took a hard fall playing basketball this morning. In the infirmary, I had Jake in a cast on my left and Hannah, her face swollen up like a balloon, on my right. I swallowed hard. I was screwed. My dream, it came true. Even worse, I'd forgotten one crucial detail. Dreams are the opposite of reality. The thought that the people who loved me would now be cursed with bad luck filled me with pure panic. After getting Jake and Hannah settled in the hospital, I finally remembered to call home. Hey Mom, are you there? Chloe, it's terrible. Something's happened at home. Hearing my mom sobbing on the other end of the line, my heart sank. You're good for nothing, Father. He's not human. I always suspected he was messing around with that floozy Ms. Lewis across the hall. Well, serves them right. They got carbon monoxide poisoning together in broad daylight and were carted off by an ambulance. How am I supposed to show my face in public again? My mom was crying and cursing so much that my brain turned to mush. Mom, slow down, I pleaded. After listening for what felt like an eternity, I finally pieced together the story. It turned out my dad had been having an affair with our neighbor for a long time. This neighbor, Ms. Lewis, was a single mom in her 40s. While my mom was out managing her shop, my dad went over to the neighbor's apartment to fool around. Somehow, they both ended up with carbon monoxide poisoning. Apparently, a delivery guy smelled gas leaking from under the door and called 911, which saved their lives. When the paramedics carried them out, neither of them was wearing any clothes. They were now the talk of the entire neighborhood. After comforting my mom, I hung up, my mind a complete blank. I grew up in a family that heavily favored boys. Because she'd had me, a girl, my father had always looked down on my mother. He never contributed a dime to our household after I was born, shamelessly arguing that since I was just a girl who would marry out of the family, he wasn't going to raise someone else's kid. The only reason I'd made it this far was because of my mom, who worked day and night running a small grocery store all by herself. If dreams were the opposite of reality, did that mean I'd misunderstood my dad all these years? That he actually loved me? And that Ms. Lewis, by extension, was fond of me too? It was all too bizarre. I sat in the visitor's chair, looking from Jake to Hannah, and fell deep into thought. After a while, I still had no answers. The hospital room's AC was cranked high. Jake and Hannah were both on painkillers and fast asleep. I went to pull the blanket over Jake. As I tucked his hand in, I noticed a familiar-looking bracelet on his wrist. I walked over to Hannah's bed and lifted her hand to look. A matching set of bracelets? They were the exact same style, except Jake's was gold and Hannah's was silver. I flipped one over and saw a series of numbers engraved on the inside. 9. I checked Jake's and saw the same numbers. I was confused all over again. September 29th was my birthday. That was yesterday. It made sense for Jake to have my birthday engraved since he was my boyfriend. But Hannah? Did she do it because she loved me that much too? I was still holding Jake's hand, lost in thought, when the door to the room swung open. Well, paying your respects. It was that jerk Liam. My nemesis. Seeing him made my blood boil. Liam's family lived next door to mine, and we'd been in the same class since middle school. He loved nothing more than to tattle on me, and thanks to him, I got more than my fair share of scoldings from my mom. I'd thought that with his grades, he'd get into a much better university, but he choked on his exams and I overperformed. So here we were, at the same university again. What a cursed connection. Oh right. He was also Jake's roommate. When Jake was trying to win me over, Liam constantly told me that Jake wasn't right for me. So naturally, I got together with Jake just to spite him. Chloe, are you some kind of jinx? He taunted. Look at these two. One's your boyfriend, the other's your best friend. You didn't curse them, did you? I lunged at him, furious, my hands like claws. Shut up, or I'll punch you. But for all my outward rage, I was crumbling inside. I had a sinking feeling that maybe, just maybe, I had cursed them. Right in the middle of our argument, their roommate Mike burst in. Holy crap. Liam, you won the lottery. $5 million. Mike's family owned a convenience store that sold lottery tickets, so we'd all occasionally buy a ticket from him. We'd just text him our numbers, and his dad would print the ticket and send us a photo. Dude, my dad just called me. He was ecstatic. Liam, you owe us. You're covering my breakfast for the rest of the semester. I just stood there, completely stunned. I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. Was I a good luck charm? Or a jinx? Was it just random? Liam flashed a grin, ruffling my hair until it looked like a bird's nest. So, Chloe, what do you want? Name it and it's yours. I slapped his hand away, fuming. It's just $5 million. Who cares? I swallowed the lump of envy in my throat, shooed Liam and Mike out, and walked over to Jake. I fished his phone out of his pocket and sneakily unlocked it with his fingerprint. We had only been together for a few months, so I'd never looked through his phone before. My heart pounded with a mix of nerves and excitement. Good luck charm or jinx? I was about to find out. Looking at the X-rated chat history between Jake and Hannah, I felt like I'd gone blind. The language was so graphic, the content so dirty. It was a massive shock to my innocent little soul. Jake even called me a Victorian prude, just because I wouldn't sleep with him. He said I was a relic of a bygone era, and that I wasn't worth a single hair on Hannah's head. I gritted my teeth, closed the phone, and got angrier the more I thought about it. I couldn't resist. While he was still asleep, I gave him 2 hard slaps across the face. If not now, when? NGH. Seeing him about to wake up, I quickly scrammed. I wished the happy couple a long life together. May they be chained to each other forever. Walking back to class, I couldn't tell if I was more happy or sad. Betrayed by both my boyfriend and my best friend, I should have been devastated. But my dream had come true and I was a good luck charm, which was pretty exciting. The person I understood the least was Liam. Given how lucky he was, winning $5 million, just how much did he have to love me? Chloe, are you an idiot? Is your head just there to make you taller? How can you not solve such a simple problem? Did your parents send you to college just to mess around with boys? I feel sorry for whatever poor guy ends up marrying a woman like you. Thinking back on our history, I still found it hard to believe he could possibly like me. When I got back to the classroom, Liam had already saved me a seat. Well, look who it is. Done with your little romance and ready to study. With a brain like yours, you could study all day and still not keep up. And you have the nerve to date? We'll see how many classes you fail. Liam launched into his usual barrage of insults. I pushed my book aside, propped my chin on my hands and stared right at him. To be fair, even though Liam had a foul mouth, he was undeniably handsome. Girls had been writing him love letters since middle school. Liam pretended to be focused on the blackboard, but his face turned red, inch by inch. Even the tips of his fair-skinned ears were bright red. TSK. So this is what they call the mouth says no, but the body says yes. Now what am I going to do? Your little secret. I've found it out. Before I could figure out how to tease Liam next, A stern voice cut through the air. Chloe, answer this question. I shuffled to my feet sheepishly. I don't know, Professor. Sit down. And pay attention. Seeing Liam trying to hide a smirk, I started to think he was the one with the good luck powers. Liam, let me ask you something. After my birthday dinner last night, did Jake go back to the dorm? Liam gave me a look like I was an idiot. No. He went for a walk by the lake with that girl from your dorm, Hannah. What? And you didn't tell me? How many times have I told you that Jake isn't right for you? Liam rolled his eyes and went back to ignoring me. So they hooked up on my birthday? How am I ever supposed to celebrate my birthday happily again? I was so mad. But then I remembered, wait a minute, I'm a human good luck charm. This was a double betrayal, which meant their bad luck should be doubled. The thought made me happy again. Haha. Liam watched my expression shift from angry to amused, then reached out and touched my forehead. Losing your mind over love? After class, I walked with an extra swagger in my step. I felt like the main character of a novel, the center of the universe. As I strutted along like I owned the place, Liam spoke up beside me, his voice flat. Careful you don't fall. No sooner had the words left his mouth than I face planted. Hard. I knelt on the ground, completely stunned. Did Liam get a superpower too? The ability to jinx people? Given his track record of insults, the thought scared me a little. Seeing that I wasn't getting up, Liam sighed, bent down, and scooped me into his arms. My face instantly flushed red. The path was crowded with students after class, and many of them were turning to stare at us. I buried my face in Liam's chest to hide from all the eyes on us. Chloe, you need to lose some weight. A pig is lighter than you. I looked up in horror and clamped a hand over his mouth. Thankfully, I didn't instantly swell to 400 pounds. So the fall must have just been because I wasn't watching where I was going. Liam's face was red again. It's always so obvious when fair-skinned people blush. Seeing the faint pink tinge spread even to the corners of his eyes, the phrase good enough to eat suddenly popped into my head. Back in my dorm, I found my roommate staring at me, hesitating. Chloe, did you see Hannah's social feed? Why aren't you at the hospital with her? I pulled out my phone and took a look. The first thing I saw was a photo of the hospital room, paired with a sad caption. Is there anything lonelier than being in the hospital by yourself? So-called friendship is just that. I guess I expected too much. Looks like she was awake. How did I even become best friends with Hannah? I think it was at the beginning of the semester. I had just finished making my bed when the girl from the bunk across from me came over with a bag of fruit. Hi there, she said. I have a bit of claustrophobia. Do you think we could trade beds? I prefer being by the window, otherwise I don't feel well. I've always been a sucker for a pretty face, and this girl Hannah was petite and sweet-looking. She had these big doll-like eyes, and when she blinked her long curled lashes fluttered like a butterfly's wings. She was so beautiful, like a porcelain doll. Who could say no to a girl that pretty? And so we became inseparable best friends. Hannah's post was quickly flooded with comments. Many of them were asking why I wasn't there with her. So this was her plan, to make me public enemy number one. Just then, I got a text from Liam. I opened it. It was a photo. In it, Jake and Hannah were holding hands, gazing lovingly at each other. They were standing under a streetlight by the lake, so their faces were clearly visible. Whoever took it was a pro. I silently saved the photo, opened my social feed and posted it. I added a caption. The most unforgettable birthday present. Thanks you too. And then my feed exploded. Hannah wasn't exactly popular with the other girls in our class. So the comment section was now a sea of passive-aggressive remarks and righteous indignation. Wanna be besties? The kind that steals your boyfriend? She didn't come to break you up. She came to join you. Oh, it's on. Let's see who can hurt who more. Holy crap. Good thing you weren't at the hospital with her. Imagine taking care of the other woman. I'd have a heart attack just thinking about it. My roommate Sarah stared at my post, her jaw on the floor. Ignoring the firestorm I'd just started in our class, I packed my school bag and headed to my part-time job. Because my dad never cared about family matters or brought home any money, my mom had to cover all our expenses and pay for my education. So as long as it didn't interfere with my studies, I tried to take on odd jobs to lighten her load. If Liam could win $5 million, maybe my mom could get even luckier? Filled with hopeful anticipation, I got on the campus shuttle. The student I tutored, Ryan, was a high school senior and a classic rich kid. He was arrogant and rebellious and had already scared off several tutors. The only reason I'd managed to stick around was because I was an expert at flattery. When I was teaching him, I'd deliberately make a few obvious mistakes. He would then mock me with disdain, and I'd start laying on the praise. It always left him feeling great, grinning from ear to ear. Tisk, Chloe. Seriously, how did someone with your IQ get into state U? This little punk. I took a deep breath and flashed a perfect 8-toothed smile. Oh, I could never compare to you. I had to study nonstop and wake up at the crack of dawn just to get into college. But a genius like you, Ryan? I think you could get into state U just by paying a little attention in class and doing your homework casually. Yes, in front of others he called me Miss Song, but in private, I called him Ryan. His mom paid me $100 an hour. Money has a way of making you bow your head. After the lesson, he tossed me a huge box of chocolates that looked incredibly expensive. Ryan, I can't accept this. His face immediately fell, his handsome features turning frosty. If you don't want it, just throw it out. Take it to the trash on your way out. This kid really needed to be handled with care. Thank you, Ryan. I'll bring you a bubble tea next time. His scowl instantly transformed into a bright smile. He raised an eyebrow and waved a dismissive hand. You are dismissed. As I was leaving with a bike share, I ran into the class beauty from the neighboring class, who also tutored in this community. Seeing me holding the box of chocolates, her pretty face filled with disdain. Shameless. Hitting on your own student. The old me would have rushed up to argue, but the new me just said, "Yep, you're so right." After all, I was a good luck charm now. We were on different spiritual planes. The class beauty was in love with Liam. She'd given him a love letter, but was brutally rejected. She was convinced it was because of me, because Liam was always finding excuses to talk to me. I'd been on the receiving end of dirty looks from girls since we were kids. I was going to get him back for that. She got on a blue bike share, but it wouldn't budge. Ha, the bike was broken. This was a gated community of mansions with no bus service. If she had to walk to the next bus stop, it would take her at least an hour. Watching her stomp her foot in frustration, I hopped on my bike and rode away cheerfully. When I got back to campus, I found Liam already waiting for me at the entrance to my dorm. Chloe, why was your phone off? Your mom called me. She wants you to come home. I quickly checked my phone. Sure enough, the battery was dead. Let's go, I'll go with you. It's the weekend tomorrow anyway, so I can visit my parents too. Liam and I lived in a neighboring city, just a 2-hour bus ride away. I charged my phone and tried calling my mom, but she didn't pick up. Thinking of my good luck powers, my anxious heart calmed down a bit. It probably had something to do with my dad again. Where do you get the chocolates? Seeing Liam's face instantly darken, I couldn't resist teasing him. An admirer gave them to me. You really never learn, do you? With your terrible taste, who knows what kind of loser you'll find next? Looking at Liam's disdainful expression, I sneered inwardly. You know, I think you're right. From now on, if I'm interested in a guy, how about I have you vet him for me? Liam was speechless for a moment, then gritted out through his teeth. Fine, Tiske. The only tough thing about him is his mouth. The rocking of the bus was making me sleepy. I pretended to be asleep and rested my head on Liam's shoulder. I could feel his body tense up, but then he straightened his posture to make it more comfortable for me to lean on him. A warm feeling spread through my chest, and I started to reminisce about my history with Liam. In middle school, when I was secretly reading a novel in class, he raised his hand and told the teacher. During summer break, when my friends dragged me to the movies instead of tutoring, he told my mom. In high school, when I got a love letter from a boy, he told my mom again. Nope, I can't. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Just then, I felt a warm touch on my forehead. It was very light, like a feather falling. Liam had stolen a kiss. So it was true. There's no such thing as a purely platonic friendship between a guy and a girl. It was all Liam's fault for changing the nature of our relationship. Leaning against him, I drifted off into a pleasant sleep. When I got home, I found the house in total chaos. All the aunts and cousins were there. My dad sat on the sofa looking completely unfazed, while my mom sat on the other side crying. "She's already pregnant," my dad said. "And it's definitely a boy. I can't let the Song family line die out. We have to get a divorce." Looking at my dad's shameless behavior, I felt so bad for my mom. "Mom, don't cry. A divorce is fine." My mom looked up, her eyes puffy from crying. Seeing me made her cry even harder. "Chloe, what are you saying? If we divorce, you'll be from a single-parent home. How are we going to survive?" Although my mom was hardworking and capable, at her core, she was a very traditional woman from the countryside. In her world, it didn't matter if a husband didn't earn money, hit his wife, or fooled around. There was only widowhood, never divorce. Hearing my words, my dad lifted his eyelids. "You ungrateful brat. I raised you all these years for nothing." Because my dad was dead set on a divorce, my grandma, despite scolding him, was actually secretly supportive. After all, he was her only son. And because my mom had given birth to me, a girl, she had never been able to hold her head high in this family. With my grandfather presiding, the divorce papers were signed. The house went to my dad, and the storefront for the small grocery store went to my mom. Starting next week, my mom and I would move into the small loft above the store. As for savings, my dad had been slacking off for years, and the family had been surviving on the income from that one small store. There wasn't much to speak of. It was very late by the time all the relatives finally left. I hugged my mom, my heart aching for her. She was only in her 40s, but her hair was already starting to turn gray. "Mom, I'll take a week off from school to stay home with you." My mom, her eyes swollen from crying, stroked my head. "Chloe, Mom is sorry, but you can't fall behind in your studies. Study hard, so you don't end up like me. You need to find a good job and marry a good man." "Mom, a divorce is actually a good thing. You won't have to work so hard anymore, and you won't have to give Dad money every month. You'll actually have an easier life." I felt that my mom's life would only get better. I hoped she could find a man who would truly treat her well and experience what a real, warm family feels like, instead of endless criticism, verbal abuse, and neglect. As for my dad, with my good luck powers on my side, did he really think he could have a good life? There was a knock on the door. I went out and saw Liam standing there. Under the dim light, he stood tall and straight like a pine tree. Seeing my slightly red eyes, Liam handed me a bank card. I looked up, confused. "The pin is your birthday. I know what happened with your family. This is $50,000. You and your mom will need money for the move. That little grocery store isn't a suitable place to live. I'll help you find an apartment to rent tomorrow." A bittersweet feeling washed over me, and all the grievances I'd suffered because of my dad over the years came rushing to the surface. I threw myself into Liam's arms and started to sob. Liam's body tensed, but then he wrapped his arms around me, patting my back comfortingly. His embrace became my warmest memory of that autumn. After crying for a while, I felt much better. I looked up, still sniffling. "Liam, thank you. But I can't take this money. I can't pay you back." "Who says you can't pay me back? Pay me $2.50 a day. That's $912.50 a year. You'll be all paid up in about 55 years. He wanted me to spend a lifetime paying him back. In the end, I took the money, because the more I took, the luckier Liam would be. It was already afternoon by the time my mom and I left the courthouse. Unlike my mom, who was on the verge of tears, my dad was absolutely beaming. But his happiness didn't last long. A man rushed up to him and started punching and kicking him. As he beat him, he yelled, "So you're the one who seduced my wife? I'll kill you." It all happened so fast, we didn't have time to react. My mom and I were too scared to intervene, so I just called the police. It wasn't until we got to the police station that we found out my dad completely deserved the beating. Who would have thought that Ms. Lewis wasn't actually divorced? Her husband worked out of state and was often away on business trips. When he was home, she and their child would live in their hometown. As soon as he left, she would move out on her own, claiming to be divorced. Because her child was in high school and boarded at school, only coming home every 2 weeks, no one had discovered her scheme for all these years. Looking at my dad's face, swollen like a pig's head, all I could feel was relief that my mom had already gotten the divorce certificate. The police station was a chaotic scene. My dad demanded compensation for his medical bills, while Ms. Lewis's husband claimed my dad got his wife pregnant and demanded compensation for emotional distress. In the end, with the police mediating, they both signed a settlement agreement. Of course, the other party didn't pay any money, insisting that his wife needed an abortion, and the costs conveniently offset each other. My dad was never one to take a loss. The two families were in for a long, ugly fight. I helped my mom move out as quickly as possible, getting far away from all the drama. By the time I got back to school, a week had passed. The moment I walked into my dorm, I ran into Hannah. Her teeth were fixed, but the cut on her lip hadn't fully healed, and was still a little swollen. When she saw me, her big, doll-like eyes filled with grievance. "Chloe, you misunderstood me. Jake wanted to break up with you for a while. I was the one who convinced him to at least stay with you until after your birthday." "So you're saying I should thank you?" I rolled my eyes. I was speechless. Was Jake some kind of god? Would spending one more day with him grant me some kind of divine blessing? Some of the girls in our class started to ostracize Hannah, but she didn't seem to care at all. She immediately became best friends with the class beauty from next door. As for Jake, whenever he saw me in class, he would look like he had something to say but couldn't get it out. Sometimes he'd even walk away, then look back every few steps, trying to find a chance to talk to me. I deeply regretted not listening to Liam back then. The truth really is hard to swallow. Lately, Jake and Hannah seem to be cursed by misfortune. Forgetting their textbooks for class, tripping on flat ground, getting called on by the professor when they skipped class, forgetting to bring toilet paper to the bathroom. Their string of bad luck was so pathetic that it started to evoke sympathy. People began to feel that while they had their moral failings, they had suffered enough and shouldn't be judged too harshly. As a result, their popularity in class actually started to rebound. Even I was finding it hard to hate Hannah. Just a moment ago, while curling her eyelashes, she'd accidentally ripped out the entire row right from the root. Seeing the line of lashes on her curler, my roommate and I gasped in horror. Yesterday, she'd accidentally shaved off half an eyebrow while grooming them. So she skipped class to get them microbladed, but on that rare occasion she skipped, the professor just happened to do a roll call. And it was the infamous Dr. Doom, a professor who, unlike most, had a zero-tolerance policy for skipping. Getting caught once meant an automatic 30-point deduction from your final exam score. If Hannah didn't score above a 90 on the final, she was guaranteed to fail the course. And it was a required course, which meant she'd have to retake it. I was beginning to appreciate the sheer power of being a human good luck charm. Liam, on the other hand, seemed to have been quiet lately. A new lodge just opened up at Pine Mountain. They have hot springs. My roommates are bugging me to treat them. You should bring your roommates and come along. Looking at the text from Liam, I touched the bank card in my bag, a warm feeling spreading through me. On weekends, I had my tutoring job as usual. Before, whenever I went to Ryan's house, his parents were almost never home. They were both incredibly busy. Today was different. Both of them were there, and they were incredibly enthusiastic when they saw me. "Oh, Miss Song, thank you so much." The moment she saw me, Ryan's mom stuffed a thick red envelope into my hands. I was completely bewildered. "Miss Song, you are amazing. Truly the best tutor I've ever hired. None of those so-called master tutors can compare to you." That's when I learned that Ryan had placed 427th in the entire school on the recent joint mock exams. His school was one of the best in the city, with over 800 students in his grade. He used to consistently rank in the bottom. If Ryan could maintain this score, he had a real shot at getting into a top-tier university. "Ryan, I knew you were smart, but I had no idea you were this smart." "No, you're not just smart, you're a genius." In his room, I grabbed his hands and shook them excitedly. For once, Ryan wasn't his usual cocky self. A suspicious blush crept up his handsome face. The kid was actually learning some humility. "Don't get handsy," he mumbled. "After the lesson, I formally requested a day off. I need to take tomorrow off, so I can't come for your lesson. I'm going to Pine Mountain Lodge with some classmates. Ryan's face, which had just been beaming, immediately darkened. Guys or girls? They're my classmates, so both. Why do you ask? I want to go too. I looked at his sullen face, a bit exasperated. We're staying overnight. If you don't let me go, I'll turn in a blank test on my next exam. Would your parents even let you? Downstairs from my dorm, Liam's face was incredibly ugly as he stared at Ryan, who was standing there with a backpack. Haha, everyone, let me introduce you. This is my student. He's coming with us this time. Liam pulled me aside, his face cold. Why did you bring him? He's a senior and under a lot of stress. He said he wanted to relax with us. Please, I'm begging you, just let him come. Do it for me. Liam glanced down at my hand clutching his sleeve, and his expression softened considerably. He's a senior, so he's probably only a couple of years younger than us. Don't treat him like a kid. You need to keep your distance. Boys and girls shouldn't be so close, you know? Seeing me nod like a bobblehead, Liam's expression softened a little more. I let out a sigh of relief, only to meet Ryan's sullen, handsome face. What was he angry about now? This was exhausting. In the car, the two of them nearly got into a fight over who would sit next to me. I finally had enough and moved to the front passenger seat. The world was finally quiet. The mountain roads in autumn are the most beautiful of any season. Reds, greens, yellows, and oranges. It was like we were strolling through nature's accidentally overturned paint palette. I gazed out the window, feeling happiness in the air. Except for the noise inside the car. Although Ryan had made progress in his exams recently, he was still fundamentally a slacker. From poetry and literature to astronomy and geography, Liam absolutely obliterated him. Watching Ryan's face turn red with anger, I was worried a blood vessel might pop. This was a total smackdown from a higher academic plane. We all silently mourned for Ryan. The reason Liam ended up at State U was because it was his worst performance on any exam, ever. The mountain road wasn't long, and we arrived in just over an hour. The lodge had a beautiful view. After a delicious meal of local farm-to-table cuisine, Ryan, his pride thoroughly wounded by Liam, retreated to his room to sulk. The rest of us went back to our rooms to change into swimsuits, ready for the hot springs. The hot springs here were unique, laid out like a maze with small pools everywhere. Some pools were as large as swimming pools, while others were only a few feet wide, like little caves. I wandered through them, getting more and more off the beaten path. Around a corner, I found a smaller hot spring. Above it hung a giant osmanthus tree, its blossoms occasionally drifting down into the misty Ateem, creating a scene as beautiful as a fairyland. And in this fairyland was a fairy, with his handsome features, fair skin, and deep eyes that seemed to hold a universe of stars. Who else could it be but Liam? He certainly knew how to pick a spot. He saw me and raised an eyebrow. On his usually serious face, the gesture was surprisingly charming. The scene, the person, the moment, it was all too intimate. I decided to find another spot. But my foot slipped, and I lunged toward Liam. By the time he caught me, I had accidentally kissed him. Our eyes met, our lips touched. I shrieked, scrambled away from him, and jumped up. In the struggle, my swimsuit top came off. Liam stared at me dumbfounded, as if he'd been frozen in place. Blushing furiously, I grabbed my top, turned my back to put it on, and fled in a panic. This was my good luck power? Granting Liam the good fortune of having me fall into his arms, kiss him, and let him see everything? I buried my face in my blanket and rolled around on the bed. I'm so embarrassed. Was this my good luck power, or Liam's? Thinking of the wide-eyed, distorted expression on Liam's face, I wanted to die. On the way back the next day, Ryan was unusually quiet, like a quail wilted by frost. He looked quite pitiful. I'm definitely getting into State U and beating that Liam guy. If I don't, I'll change my last name. He made a solemn vow to me. It looked like he was finally getting serious about studying. I never thought Liam would have that effect on someone. I was secretly pleased. Back at school, rumors started to spread about me, saying I was hooking up with the student I was tutoring. That the student was a rich kid, and I had abandoned all my professional ethics for his family's money. I didn't even have to guess who started it. Whoever was having the worst luck lately, that was who? The class beauty from next door, Heather. Who does she think she is, seducing her student? Ugh. In the dorm hallway, Heather rolled her eyes, shoved past me, and walked away with her thermos. I looked at her with pity. Ever since I got my good luck powers, I've often felt a sense of compassion for those who hate me, slander me, and spread rumors about me. I felt like I was on the verge of enlightenment. Sure enough, less than 3 seconds later, her thermos exploded. Hearing the shriek from ahead, I closed my eyes. It was too brutal. I couldn't bear to watch. Time flew by, and final exams were just around the corner. I felt this power was so unfair to me. My roommate Sarah was flipping through her textbook, marveling. It's so weird. My memory has been so much better lately. I just glanced at the key points twice, and I can already recite them. I drooled with envy. Had Liam's powers upgraded to a photographic memory by now? The joy was all theirs. I had nothing. I went back to miserably cramming and memorizing, only to forget everything, then memorize it all over again. The final grades came out. Thanks to my desperate efforts, I managed to maintain my previous mid-range ranking. Liam almost got perfect scores in every subject, and my roommates all achieved unprecedented progress. I was a little jealous, and my mom's cheerful laughter echoed in my ears from a recent call with Ryan's mom. "Miss Song, you are just incredible. Ryan got 300 first place this time. At this rate, he'll break into the top 200 next semester. Oh my God, I never would have dared to dream. Thank you so much. As long as you're all happy." When I got home after exams, I found my mom's mental state had changed dramatically. Her complexion was better, she looked younger, and the little grocery store had doubled in size. The lease on the shop next door was up, so I rented it. I added fresh produce and fruit, and now even with 2 new employees, we can barely keep up. My mom was beaming as she moved boxes, radiating a joy I had never seen in her before. Mom's making good money now too. That $50,000 you got from the lottery winnings? I've saved it all for you, for your dowry. I took the fruit from her hands, thinking this divorce was the best thing that could have happened. How's Dad? Still tangled up with that Ms. Lewis. I heard they got back together, and her husband comes knocking on their door every other day to cause trouble. So he didn't get a job? A job? He rented out his house for a couple thousand a month in income. Now he's hiding out back in our hometown, asking your grandparents for money whenever he needs it. The entire winter break was a blur of activity at my mom's supermarket. Liam often came over to help, and every time he did, he'd cause a stir among the younger girls, who would whisper among themselves. I had a brilliant idea and made him the cashier. The checkout line instantly grew to an incredible length. One girl in a yellow shirt had already checked out 4 times, buying a lollipop 1 minute and a bag of spicy chips the next. I stood to the side, watching Liam in his supermarket vest. It's true what they say. Good-looking people look good in anything. Our store vests were a bright, garish yellow that would be a disaster on anyone else, but on Liam, he looked like a runway model. After being asked for his number for the 37th time, Liam finally snapped. He scowled, tore off the vest and walked out. I quickly chased after him. "Hey, don't be mad." Liam turned and glared at me. "All these people asking for my number, you think it's funny? Doesn't that just mean you're popular? Why aren't you happy about being popular?" At my words, Liam got even angrier. His eyes reddened as he grabbed my shoulders. "Chloe, you don't understand anything." Of course I understood. "But you tattled on me so many times, got me in so much trouble with my mom, and you're always so mean to me. Of course I'm going to take this chance to annoy you and get a little payback." I widened my eyes innocently. "Liam, what are you talking about? What don't I understand?" Watching Liam stammer, I was filled with disappointment. I bet he couldn't bring himself to say the 3 words, "I like you." After all, in his own words, I was stupid, clumsy, lazy, greedy, fat, and ugly. A teenage boy's baffling pride sometimes trumps everything else. Sure enough, Liam lowered his head in defeat, let go of me and strode away. Even though I had expected it, I couldn't help but feel a pang of disappointment. Is it really that hard to admit you like me? I'll just see how long you can keep up this tough act. As it turned out, Liam's tough act was world-class. In a war, he could have been a spy who wouldn't crack under any amount of torture. Thanks to my good luck powers, lately, whenever I saw Liam, I would accidentally fall into his arms in all sorts of ways. If we were eating together, I'd slip, as I walked past him and land in his lap. When I went to his house to drop off fruit, I'd trip on the stairs and fall into his arms. When I went to his room to borrow a book, I'd trip over my own feet and tackle him, our mouths conveniently meeting. After the third accidental kiss, Liam finally couldn't take it anymore. Chloe, are you using these accidents to take advantage of me? I immediately jumped up and called him delusional and self-absorbed. After yelling at him, I felt refreshed and exhilarated. Liam looked stunned and disappointed, his beautiful almond-shaped eyes cast downward, hiding his dejection beneath his long lashes. Chloe, I thought, never mind. It's nothing. Did I like Liam? I used to. A lot. I'd liked him since middle school. But he was always so sarcastic. He'd do things to show he cared but say the most annoying things. For a long time, it made me think he had no feelings for me at all. My heart went from hopeful anticipation to numb despair. Then, I met Jake and decided to get serious about dating someone else. And that's when my good luck powers kicked in. When I realized Liam liked me, the excitement and pure joy I felt couldn't be contained, even by running 10 laps around the track. But if I confess first, knowing his sharp tongue, I'd probably never be able to live it down. This time, I was going to win. The busy winter break flew by. On New Year's Day, Ryan's mom sent me a huge red envelope. Ryan also sent me one and told me his goal was to get into State U. After this summer, he wanted to be my underclassman. He had lofty ambitions. For all his cocky, angsty teen attitude, Ryan was actually a good kid. I hoped his dream would come true. As for Liam, he just wished me a happy birthday and reminded me that I was another year older. Heh. The new semester was academically brutal. We spent nearly all our time buried in our major specific courses. Hannah and Jake broke up. They both believed the other was jinxing them, saying they'd had nothing but bad luck and failing grades since they got together. To be fair, they weren't entirely wrong. Half of their misfortune was indeed brought on by the other. When I wasn't in class, I was tutoring Ryan. He was getting more and more serious, making rapid progress. He had a real shot at getting into State U. One day, on my way back to the dorm after tutoring, I saw two figures ahead of me that looked a lot like Heather and Liam. On a whim, I decided to follow them. I tailed them all the way to the well-known grove behind campus, where they finally stopped. "What is it?" Liam asked, his voice laced with impatience. "Chloe is with her student. I saw it with my own eyes. The rich kid she tutors every weekend." "You mean Ryan?" "Impossible." Heather stomped her foot in frustration. "It's true. I don't get what you see in Chloe. She's materialistic and a gold digger, her grades are bad, and her sense of style is tacky." "Shut up. Don't you dare talk about Chloe. You're not worthy." Seeing Liam's anger, I felt a little dazed. So this is how he defended me in front of others? "And another thing, you're not fit to be compared to a single strand of her hair. To me, she's the best girl in the world. No one can compare to her." After saying his piece, Liam turned and strode away. I hid behind a tree, my heart feeling like it had just been hit by a tidal wave. I stumbled back to my dorm in a daze, his words replaying in my head. No one can compare to her. She's the best girl in the world. The extreme happiness turned into a pang of heartache. What was Liam's deal? If he liked me so much, why couldn't he ever say a single nice thing to my face? He let me misunderstand for so many years, letting me swing between hope and despair. I hated Liam the most. Time flew, and soon it was time for the college entrance exams. I was on edge for days. Ryan was the first student I had ever tutored, and I had put so much effort into helping him from his junior to his senior year. I sat in class lost in thought. He probably did well, right? What if something unexpected happened? Liam, seeing me spacing out, poked my arm with his pen. "What are you thinking about?" "Ryan." Liam's face instantly darkened. He pursed his lips, his eyes burning with anger. Chloe, you don't actually like him, do you? What are you talking about? He's my only student. Of course I'm worried about his exams. I impatiently waved his hand away and pulled out my phone to look up this year's exam questions, wondering if they were difficult. The 3-day exam period finally ended. That evening, after study hall, Liam was walking me back to my dorm when we saw someone standing at the entrance. A tall figure that looked vaguely familiar. Ryan? Ryan, what are you doing here? I ran towards him happily. He strode towards me and pulled me into a tight hug, perhaps because he had been standing in the cold wind for a long time. The boy's embrace was a little cool, yet tinged with warmth. Was this a celebration of finally being done with high school? I happily hugged him back, only to be yanked away by a strong force. Liam grabbed my arm, his eyes looking like they were about to shoot fire. Why did you come here so late? How does it feel to be totally free? Awesome, right? Ryan stared at me, a brilliant smile spreading across his face, revealing a cute canine tooth. The first person I wanted to see after my exams was you, so I came to find you. So, did you do well? We'll probably be seeing a lot more of each other, upperclassmen. Ryan raised an eyebrow and looked at Liam, his eyes full of challenge. Wow. Really? You did that well. Let's go, I'll treat you to a late-night snack. What do you want to eat? It's on me. Just a reminder, the dorms lock in an hour, and the RAs are doing rounds tonight, Liam said coldly from the side. So I dragged Ryan to the food street by the east gate and treated him to some spicy hot pot. I'll make it up to you this weekend. You can have whatever you want then. Ryan looked at me, his eyes shining, and nodded like an adorable puppy. Liam stood by like a guard dog, constantly giving us a countdown. 20 minutes until lockdown. If you don't hurry, you'll miss check-in. Ryan, you should head back. I'll catch up with you later. Even after Liam and I had walked through the school gates, Ryan was still standing there, smiling and waving at me. Liam was gripping my wrist so tightly it hurt. Liam, what are you doing? I angrily shook his hand off. Then Liam took my hand directly. The moment our fingers intertwined, we both froze. He pulled me forward, and I followed behind him, my heart pounding like a drum. When we reached my dorm entrance, he still hadn't let go. I tried to pull my hand away, but it wouldn't budge. I tried again, but still nothing. Liam stared at me, his gaze intense and unwavering. Let go, I said. I won't. Hey you, get inside, we're about to lock the doors. The dorm supervisor yelled at me. Taking advantage of Liam's momentary distraction, I yanked my hand free and ran into the dorm. As I got into bed after washing up, my heart was still racing. Was Liam about to confess to me? The next day, Liam acted as if nothing had happened. He went to class, ate, and left just like any other day. It was as if last night was just a dream I had imagined. If he wasn't going to say anything, I certainly wasn't. So we both just held it in. Even my roommates noticed the strange tension between us. Maya would often ask me gossip style. Liam definitely likes you. The way he looks at you could start a fire. Has he confessed yet? No. He's a mute. And so we continued our routine, day after day. With finals approaching, everyone was quietly studying in the dorm when my class president suddenly called me. Chloe, bad news. Your students' parents are in the advisor's office raising hell. They're saying you were dating their son, and it affected his studies. Now that he bombed his exams, his parents are here to make trouble. I had accidentally hit the speakerphone button, and everyone in the dorm immediately looked up at me. Hannah's face lit up with excitement. Oh no, what are we going to do? Let's go to the office and see. Maybe with more people there, we can help calm the parents down. I felt a surge of anxiety. Ryan bombed his exams? That couldn't be right. He was always so nice to me. Didn't my good luck power protect him? I rushed towards the advisor's office with a crowd of people trailing behind me. Hannah was loudly explaining the situation to anyone who would listen. Oh my God, it's awful. Chloe was dating the high school student she was tutoring, and now his parents are making a scene at the school. Thanks to her enthusiastic explanation, the crowd of onlookers grew even larger. As I entered the office, a lavishly dressed middle-aged woman was ranting at our advisor. And you call this a prestigious university? Is this how you train your students? She was supposed to be tutoring him, but instead she seduced my son. His grades are worse now than before he had a tutor. He did so terribly on his exams. Your school needs to give me an explanation. I looked at the portly, wealthy woman in confusion. Ma'am, who are you? You're the tutor? Ah, just as I thought. You have the face of a seductress. The woman glared at me, ready to unleash a torrent of insults, but I cut her off. Ma'am, what's your son's name? Adam Zang. So it was you tutoring my son? I'm just too busy with work to vet these things. If I had known his father hired such a trampy college girl as a tutor, I never would have agreed. But my student isn't Adam Zhang. He's Ryan Ma. He's your what? The woman's shrill voice came to an abrupt halt. Just then, there was a commotion outside the door. I turned to see Ryan walking in with a huge bouquet of roses, a smile on his face. Following behind him was his mother, beaming with an even wider smile. Oh, what a coincidence, Miss Song, you're here too. Ryan's mom rushed over enthusiastically and grabbed my hand, her smile so wide it couldn't be contained. Miss Song, you haven't heard, have you? Our Ryan ranked 29th in the entire school this time. His teachers said with that score, he can pick any major at State U, guaranteed admission. Oh my God, who would have thought? He once ranked last in the entire school. Miss Song, you're a miracle worker. We're going to throw a 108-table banquet. You have to come. Ryan said he's putting State U as his first choice. He's going to be your underclassman soon. Ha ha. Before I could even react, she waved her hand. Lee, bring the thing over. A young man trailing behind her hurried forward and handed her a silk banner. Ryan's mom unfurled it with a flourish. Emblazoned on the banner were 5 large golden words. A great teacher produces a brilliant student. I was so embarrassed I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. Everyone stared silently at the banner, as Ryan's mom kept trying to press it into my hands. Take it, Miss Song. It was only then that she noticed the other wealthy woman. Oh, isn't this Mrs. Zhang? Right, your son Adam is in the same class as our Ryan. Are you here to present a banner to? Mrs. Zhang, I believe there's been a mistake. The student tutoring your son is Heather from the class next door, not Chloe from our class. Our advisor finally managed to interject. And just like that, the farce was over. Ryan placed the flowers in my hands and followed his mother out, looking back at me every few steps. At the door, he ran into a rushing Liam. He grinned happily. Upperclassman, I'll be in your care from now on. I walked out of the office holding the flowers and bumped right into Liam. Liam had a sour look on his face as he eyed the roses in my arms with disgust. Show off. I rolled my eyes. What do you know? This is the first time I've ever received flowers, and they're from my student. I'm going to take them back to my dorm and take good care of them. So the kid got into State U? Yep. Isn't Ryan amazing? A great teacher produces a brilliant student. Ha ha ha. I'm pretty amazing too, right? This time, Liam didn't argue. He just looked at me silently. Then he took the flowers from me. They're too heavy. I'll carry them for you. He walked me back to my dorm in silence. At the entrance, he handed the flowers back to me. 8 o'clock tonight. I have something to tell you. Wait for me downstairs. I took the flowers and went back to my dorm, my mind in a whirl. I opened my phone to find our class group chat blowing up. Everyone was eagerly gossiping about Heather. Apparently, she'd been dating the student she was tutoring, Adam Zhang, which caused his grades to plummet. Now his mom was holding her accountable and demanding the school punish her. In the end, to placate the family, the school gave Heather a formal warning and revoked her scholarship. I munched on snacks while reading the gossip, all while thinking about Liam asking me to meet him tonight, and at the same time feeling genuinely happy for Ryan. My mind was in 3 places at once, a jumble of emotions making my face contort like I was performing a magic trick. Finally, evening arrived. I put on dramatic makeup, changed my clothes, and went downstairs, my heart fluttering with anxiety. Liam was already waiting for me, holding an even larger bouquet of roses. As I approached, he reached out and took my hand. His palm was hot and slightly sweaty, so he was even more nervous than I was. My frantic heartbeat began to slow down. Hand in hand, we walked to the campus grove. He finally spoke. Chloe, some things don't need to be said. You should understand. That's it. I looked up, my gaze burning into him. I don't know what you're talking about. Watching Liam hesitate, I was filled with disappointment. Liam, you coward. I pulled my hand away and turned to leave, but a strong force yanked me back. Liam dropped the flowers and pulled me into a tight embrace. I had just looked up when his lips came down on mine. It was a fierce, urgent kiss, filled with all his longing and years of repression. After a long moment, he rested his forehead on my shoulder. Chloe, I don't like you. I don't like how you're always smiling at people, and I don't like you joking around with the guys in our class. I don't like that you're always clumsily getting hurt and making a mess of yourself. And I really don't like that you don't study seriously, so you couldn't get into the same university as me. Chloe, you know what? I really hate you. I hate that you occupy all my thoughts. I hate that you control my every emotion. I hate that you're so wonderful, but you don't belong only to me. Chloe, I fell in love with you a long time ago. Feeling a dampness on my shoulder, I couldn't help but tear up as well. He had no idea how long I had waited for this moment. The happiest thing in the world is when the person you love happens to love you back. Epilogue, Ryan's story. My mom found me another tutor. It's so annoying. They all call themselves master tutors, but the first thing they do is look at me like I'm trash. As if to say, you have nothing but money. If I get one question wrong, they sigh dramatically. Like, hello, if I was so smart, would I even need you? They're obviously just in it for the money, but they act all high and mighty, saying they can't bear to see me go down the wrong path. I hate these hypocrites. I get rid of them one by one. Today's tutor was a surprise. A pretty girl. She looked like she was only a year or two older than me. She's going to teach me? As expected, her teaching was full of holes. I felt so awkward for her that I pointed out a couple of her mistakes. TSK. How can someone so dumb be my tutor? Who's teaching who here? I was about to have my mom fire her. But then she looked at me with these bright, shining eyes full of adoration. Ryan, you're so smart. You're the smartest student I've ever taught. She might be dumb, but she wasn't annoying. Way better than those sanctimonious master tutors. I decided to let her stay. Something's been off with me lately. I used to hate weekend tutoring, but now I can't wait for it. That's when I get to see Chloe, the tutor with the bright eyes. I've been rich my whole life, surrounded by people who suck up to me for favors. But Chloe doesn't seem to be like that. When she praises me, it's completely genuine. Her eyes are so sincere. She has beautiful eyes. Her irises are dark and bright, like they hold tiny stars. I've never seen eyes so beautiful. Whenever I improve on a practice test, she brings me a little snack next time as a reward. Usually stuff like spicy chips or bubble tea. Normally, I wouldn't even glance at that stuff, but since she brought it, I gave it a try. It wasn't bad. My grades started to improve dramatically, and the look of amazement in her eyes grew. Oh my God, Ryan, you're a genius. If you keep this up, you might even get into State U. State U? I think that's where she goes. Being her underclassman, that doesn't sound half bad. It's decided. I'm getting into State U. My exams are over. I feel like Chloe is my lucky star. Ever since she started tutoring me, my test luck has been amazing. I knew the answers to all the questions they asked, and the stuff I didn't know wasn't on the test. State U is in the bag. The thought of seeing her every day from now on makes me want to shout with joy. That feeling peaked in the evening. I impulsively took a taxi to her school. I hugged her. The moment I held her in my arms, I could hear my own heart pounding like a drum. I was sure of it. I had fallen for her. It's just that guy who's always around her, Liam. He's so annoying. But I'm not scared. Liam isn't as handsome as me, he's not as rich as me, and he's older than me. I read online that my type is what's popular now. They call it the younger guy trope. Chloe, just you wait. You'll soon find out how happy you'll be as my girlfriend.